In this lecture, we'll talk about understanding your values. Each value helps define who you are. Values are subjective. Some may argue that there are some universal values, but that's up for debate. And our value system changes over time. Early on, it's often dictated by our primary caregivers. Later on, oftentimes by your friends. And then in some cases, as you move on, you adapt them based on the things that you read, experiences that you've had. If you value your free time, what kind of job might be problematic? Obviously, jobs that require you to work 60 and 70 hours a week. Now, for some people, that might be very engaging, highly stimulating. You're just kind of busy. For other people, they want to take a step back and not have a job like that. So valuing your free time, probably look for a job that does not require a lot of overtime. Next question. If you value wealth and power, how might that impact your available free time? To progress in terms of wealth and power, in many cases requires you to work long hours and acquire wealth, maybe use that wealth to parlay into working for yourself. There's a whole range of options. When we talk about development periods of our value systems, according to Morris Massey, a researcher, early on there's an imprint period, which is birth to 7. Can this period extend beyond 7 years? Of course it can. People grow at different rates, both physically as well as emotionally and socially. We absorb everything around us and accept most of it as true, especially when it comes from our caregivers. Why do we do that? Well, obviously we have limited exposure to most people, maybe perhaps except our caregivers. And second, we do not really have the cognitive development to really question what we believe and why we believe that particular thing. We do develop a sense of right and wrong. And so why do we desire this sense of right and wrong? So that you hopefully can make very dichotomous yes and no type decisions of, yes, we should do that, we shouldn't do that, this is a correct way of doing something, this is a wrong way to do something based on our values. Next is the modeling period, which is ages 8 to 13 approximately. So we copy our caregivers, but we begin to include others such as classmates, teachers, coaches, clergy, and probably especially classmates. We are experimenting to see what or how we feel. So why diverge from our parents' values? Because you feel like you need to figure out who you are as an independent person. So you say, all right, I believe this stuff, but I want to believe this different stuff because it makes me who I am. Think back to non-caregivers who had a significant impact on your value system. So some of those people, besides fellow classmates, are coaches. They teach you this, or teacher challenges you with a certain set of ideas and you maybe adopt those particular ideas. Socialization period ends around age 21 typically. Now, you still adapt your value system as you get older. You learn more things, you start to see the world maybe from a different perspective, and so it does change after that, but for the most part it's probably 90% established by that time. The media often plays a huge role. For example, if you watch a certain news station, you might be biased toward their reporting. If you watch another news station, you might be biased towards their reporting. You might find some articles or some podcasts on the internet that make sense to you. Whether or not it's actually true is another question. Again, these types of inputs oftentimes impact your development. Our social circles have the greatest impact on us at this point in time. So in the modeling period, your parents and your friends kind of compete, but now it's really a lot more of your friends. We often look for ways to break free of our earlier value system programming, which means this is how our parents were raised, this is how we are raised. And in a broad sense, let's say your parents growing up did not have to, they chose to always buy used cars, for example, because they felt like that was important, not to buy new cars because of the cost or the depreciation or whatever. But you may say to yourself, I am only going to buy new cars. I'm not going to buy old cars. And so that could be like a very superficial example of your value system. We seek people like us. Don't we seek like people throughout our lives? Yes. But in this period especially, you're trying to find some people that help support and maintain, in some ways, your value system.